Hi everybody, it's Gail from Gail's Bookish Things. I thought I would take you along for my little pen switch over. I want to move into my Crazy Horse green pen case. This is by Galen Leather, if you're not familiar with that. I want to move it out of the brown to the green. I've used this all summer and I really like it, but I think this is kind of a good green for the autumn months. I'm not sure why, but just seems to be a little more muted. You know, they're still green on the trees, but they're not bright and vivid. The leaves aren't bright and vivid anymore, so it seemed like a good idea. So I was going to also share with you some of my thoughts on my currently inked pens. I recently used up the ink in here. I had Tasha Suchi or Golden Wheat, and what a delightful combination. This Schmidt nib and this pen with that ink, so perfect. I could write with it forever. And I may ink it up yet, but as you can see, I have several others going, so I might put that on hold. I'm always experimenting, always trying to find yet another combination of ink and pen that I really like. This was definitely on the top of the list. So, you know, the question is, do you keep searching just because the search is half the fun? Or do you keep it inked and enjoy knowing that the writing experience will be good? All of these, well, with the exception of that one, all of these, and these are not pens, I'm really enjoying writing with. And this is the other exception because I just inked this up. I put Dominant Industry Autumn Forest. It's got that pretty rose gold sheen. I put that in my Opus 88, trying to like this ink better. So that's one I have wanted to love, and I have not fallen in love with it yet. The swatching always appealed to me, but in writing, to me, it just seems a little washed out. It doesn't seem substantial enough to my liking. The printing tends to show more shading. I like that. The swatching has some really beautiful shimmer to it, and I'm getting some of it here and there in the writing experience, but not very much. Right here, I dipped my dip pen and wrote, and then here I shook it up and wrote, and so my fingers are still inky because I didn't have the lid all the way on when I was kind of agitating it. So, word to the wise, check the lid first. Anyhow, a little bit darker here, maybe just slightly darker. Not that noticeable though, I don't think overall. So I am going to give this a few days. Usually I can tell if I like it or not, and if I just can't stand it, I don't keep it inked. It's no fun to write with. And I think that really writing with fountain pens for me is all about the pleasure of writing. And if I'm not enjoying it, I don't want to write with it. I'm not going to keep it sitting around and try to force myself to use something in a hobby that gives me joy and to not enjoy it at all. So it just, to me, it makes no sense. I don't care if I run out of ink. I'm not conserving ink. I'm wanting to use ink, and if I don't like it, I will get rid of it. So, secondly, maybe not so much a favorite, is the Noodler's Conrad Flex nib. I just don't think I'm as into fancy writing as just enjoying writing. So I do have fun playing around with the flex in this, but I'm just not super crazy about it. So this one I will probably empty out. Okay, so these, let's talk about more wonderful experiences. In my gray TWSBI Cement Gray broad nib, I have Cradle Mountain Gray by Van Diemen's, and it's a great combination. It's a perfect gray. It's not too faint. It doesn't look black. It's just a nice, substantial, deep gray, and it flows from this pen just perfectly. Really liking that. So we will make the transfer. Oh, and this is funny. So I want to switch to the green. This couldn't look any more fallish, could it? I mean, it's like the perfect grouping of fall colored pens. And so perhaps I will switch some of these out. I do enjoy the combinations I currently have inked. I am kind of wanting to use those up. And then again, not because I'm liking them so much. So for now, rather than just making everything look fall, we'll just transfer over this. And at least this will seem reminiscent of fall to me. This is a little scissors I bought some time ago from Jet Pens. I think I just generally keep it in here if I'm wanting to cut something out. I have it handy, and that's just a little tweezers for those hard to get stickers. Okay, in my Esterbrook SD Botanical Garden, I have another Tasha ink. This is the Yugisu. Means olive. Let's see if I have, oh, somewhere. This is just, I don't want to use up too much fresh paper, but this is a nice wet flow. It's a great green. It's not like neon. It's not too faint. It's not too much of like a Kelly green. It's just a deep, rich, I would say gold toned green. I like writing with that so much, and I really like it in this pen. Every time I write with it, I'm satisfied. I'm very happy with it. And so I've just kept that in there too. My other Bennu is this amber what's it called? Well, it's a glow-in-the-dark amber, but I forget. Luminous amber. That's the word I wanted. Okay, anyway, this is the Briolette. This is also a broad nib. And in this, I have Monteverdi's Pumpkin Cake. Also a very nice fall color. These are all good fall colors. They're just not fall-ish exactly looking pens. This one is. Maybe not that one. And another amber colored pen. This is the Pilot 823. Not broad nib. I actually got medium in this. And I'm quite happy that I did. So it works wonderfully, and I still feel like the line is broad enough. A very satisfying writing experience. Soft, comfortable nib, not scratchy at all. And so this has been this was my biggest purchase yet. I bought it. I didn't make my husband buy it for me. He buys so many of my pens. Very nice of him. This one I actually bought, and I'm happy with it. I have in this Ackerman's Deepwater Blue. This is my Franklin Christoph 03. It's the one that looks like vintage glass. This is so cool. I really love how the ends on this pen have that solid hunk of faint green acrylic that looks like glass. It's a fun pen to write with. The grip on it is just a tad narrow for me, I find, with some of these bigger ones. And then I have this. It feels just a little bit too skinny. But once I start writing with it, it's okay. That would be only one thing I would tweak about this. This is an interesting point too. I have in this, or on it, or however you say it, the F Sig. So it's a fine stub Italian gradient nib. And when I first got that, I bought this from a friend. I wasn't too keen on the nib, so I bought a broad to go with it. The broad is fine. The broad is a super gusher. I decided in watching some other videos that I wanted to play around with other nib sizes. So I put this back on and knew that it was going to feel scratchy to me. Nothing would change that unless I found a different ink. So I put in it Noodler's General of the Armies. And this combination is really good. That is such a wet ink. It just depends on the pen. But in this pen, it flows really nicely. It makes my writing look a little more crisp, but it's such a wet ink that it flows. It doesn't feel scratchy. It has made me like writing with a fine nib, which I usually am not drawn to, just because I don't know, bigger writing. I like a broader line, but this kind of satisfies that precision of maybe a fine nib, but it has a nice flow, so it doesn't seem too sharp, if that makes any sense. So I will probably use that up. I'm really happy with that. I'll probably use it up and then just try something else, but I need to remember that that's really great in that pen. And then I'm kind of getting to the end of this. This is, well, really not quite. There's a bit left. This is TWSBI VAC 700R. And in here I have Noodler's Habanero. I was given a sample by my friend Katie, and then another sample by my friend Kathy, which I appreciate very much. And I love this ink. And I want to buy a bottle. It's a great shader. It's a vibrant color, a good fall pumpkin-y orange too, or a summer orange. So we'll put that in there. Another good fall color. I'm liking my color selection. This is a funny story. This is my Narwhal Primary Macchiato broad nib. What's a Narwhal? I don't remember the make or the design. So it's a neat looking pen. It's black and white swirled together. It makes creamy looking combinations. It's got this bronze band here with the Narwhal insignia carved in waves. This bronze thing here, and then you won't be able to see it, but it does have on the cap that it's number, out of 320 pens, it's number 208. It's really funny because when the light hits that, you cannot read that, but it is there. I have really thought about selling this pen. I bought it on a whim. It was sitting in a picture on the Goldspot website amongst steaming coffee beans, and I liked that vibe, and I thought, that's kind of a neat looking pen. It's one of those where, you know, it varies. It's also by Jonathan Brooks, which I'm learning about what that all means, to have different people make the blanks, different people turn them into pens and so forth. So even when I bought it, I didn't know that. So I have a greater appreciation for the artistry and the creation of this style, but I'm not wild about the filling mechanism. It's like piston filled, but this doesn't open. You can't see in it. I have looked and I have found no sign of you being able to even, correct me please if I'm missing something. You can't change the nib. You can't take the nib out. There's this ink window. It's very hard to see. When it's super empty, you can kind of tell, oh yeah, it's running out of ink. But even then, it kind of sticks to the side, so you're not sure. I like the look of it, but I find that it's in some ways impractical as far as usability. However, wanting to get rid of it, wanting to possibly see if there would be an interested buyer out there. Let me get a drink real quick of my coffee because my throat's doing its thing here. What am I saying? Thinking about selling it, and I wanted to give it one last try because honestly I didn't want the hassle of trying to sell it, shipping it. Am I asking for a fair price? Am I getting a fair price? So I messed around with the nib a little bit. Then I inked it with, I have Iroshizuku Takisumi, which is the bamboo charcoal, and I love writing with this pen. So it went from, I can't stand it, I want to get rid of it, I don't like it taking up room, to one I enjoy reaching for. It flows well. I don't have really any trouble with hard starts or skipping or anything like that. It's quite grown on me. So there, that is actually what I will keep inked. And I may, Well, I'll add my new pen when it arrives. I don't have to wait till my birthday. We'll leave a spot for that. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again soon. Take care.